In this section, we're going to actually upgrade Windows 7 to Windows 10. So clicking on the Windows 10 flag in the bottom right hand of the screen brings up the Windows 10 application. And now you can see I've reserved my upgrade, and I can notify when I'm ready, or I can check my PC and view my confirmation. It says my upgrade is reserved. But if I go to Windows Update, so I type on Start and then type Windows Update, I'll see the upgrade to Windows 10 is actually there. It's ready, and I can get started. So clicking on Get Started, it starts the download. And after a while with the download, we get this Prepare for Upgrade and some important legal information, which I, of course, just hit Accept because I want Windows 10. Clicking on Accept will get the upgrade started. The computer will go through the Preparing for Upgrade state, and it'll see if there's any last-minute things that could keep you from successfully installing Windows 10. Once the download is complete, you'll restart the computer. It'll ask you if you want to schedule that for later or start the upgrade now. Starting the upgrade now will immediately start upgrading your computer to Windows 10. The computer will shut down, and then it'll install some updates. After rebooting, your computer will install several updates, and this may take a while depending on your system. Once the updates are complete, Windows 10 will move on to the next phase of the upgrade. Now, don't worry, your computer is going to reset several times during this whole process. The next couple phases, again, time varies depending on your system. I have compressed this significantly with editing, but don't be surprised if the whole process of upgrade takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours. There really isn't much to do while Windows is going through this part of upgrading Windows. Like I said, it'll reboot several times and it'll configure as it needs to under the covers. And then once it's done, you'll come back and you'll see that it's probably waiting for your password. And then we'll configure the rest of the Windows setup from there. After everything is done, we're not done. This is our local account 1113 that was on the system before. We need our password, and it's still going to do a little bit more configuration. So enter your local account password. That was your user account on Windows 7. And Windows 10 will continue its configuration. Once I enter my password and click Next, it gives us the option to do some customize the settings or express settings. Customize is a little hard to see. Express is right there. I would just click Express. And then it tells you about the new apps that are updated for Windows 10. You can set some default applications here with the Let Me Choose My Default Apps. But again, I would just experience what's new in Windows 10 first and click Next. And some more configuring. Again, this may take a while. I've compressed it with editing. So just wait and you'll come back. You might see that it's taking a bit longer. And finally, you'll see Let's Start. And when you see this, you're ready to go. You really are ready to go and start using Windows 10 at this point. But I encourage you to go and set up your Microsoft account now. We talked about this in an earlier lesson. So if you click on your name at the very top of the Start menu and say Change Account Settings, it'll take you to the account settings and click on Sign In with a Microsoft account instead. This, again, as we talked about, it gives you the option to sync across devices and gives you a lot more opportunity for things like OneDrive and other Microsoft services. Now, once you click on Sign In with a Microsoft account, it's actually going to come back and ask you one more time for your local account password. Microsoft, a couple times in this process you'll see, is very cognizant of your personal security. So we're going to enter our Microsoft account. Give the email address and the password that you used for your Microsoft account, and then click Sign In. And this is what I was talking about. Enter your old password one last time. So this is the password for your local account. So when I started Windows 7, it was just set 1113 and password, and I'm entering that password here. I click Next. Do a little bit more waiting, like we've done this whole entire process. And this is a new feature I want to talk about, pins. This is really cool. So you set up a PIN instead of a password. And if you clicked on this link, how can a PIN be safer than a long password? It's really interesting. The PIN you enter here is only for this machine. So if you have two computers, the PIN you enter here, this doesn't even work on the other machine. To get into this machine, someone has to know your PIN, or this machine in your account, someone has to know your PIN for this particular machine. So I encourage you to set the PIN and sign in with a PIN. So click on Set a PIN. Use a PIN that obviously you'll remember. Type it in, and then confirm the PIN in the next field, and click OK. Now see here where it's saying it needs to verify your identity. This is another step in protecting your information. It's not going to associate fully any services till we verify that this is really you using this computer. And it has my text number that I set up when I set up my Microsoft account. It's texted me a code, and now I'm going to enter that code. Once this two-factor authentication is done, then it verifies that I wanted my account on this PC. This isn't someone else using this, because to keep going on, that person would also have to have my cell phone in order to answer that question. Now, this is fully my machine. It's set up with my Microsoft account. We are on Windows 10. I'm just going to change my sync settings that we talked about in another section. Keep the wallpaper separate on this one, and I am on Windows 10.